Hey everybody, it's Matt from Akuma Mods back today with our official review of the Anycubic wash and cure station. Now, I know what you're saying. Hey, that looks quite different than a normal Anycubic wash and cure station. And it is. It's a modified one. Well, my modifications, not their modifications. So, we're going to get into that right now. So I just wanted to point out that we did do an unboxing on this a little while back. I want to say about a month and a half, 2 months ago, somewhere around there. So I have been utilizing this wash and cure station as much as I can, with having 10 resin printers, and at one point up to 18 resin printers printing stuff. I kind of needed something that was a all-in-one system that would be the best bang for my buck. And that's what we're going to go ahead and talk about today and see if this is something for you and something that, might be worthwhile for you. So let's dive right into this. So like I said, as you can see that it is slightly modified, and I will show you exactly why and what I did to modify this. So we're going to take off the top, and as you can see, it is lined with like a reflective tape. It's not foil or anything. It is kind of like just like a tin foil. It's not super reflective, but it's reflective enough. So and then I also did the entire build area for that as well. So, and some of you guys might be wondering, well, why did you do that? So my thought process behind it is the only time that you're getting UV for curing is out of these LEDs. Now, half of them are 405 Newton meters. The other half is 305 or 320. I forget what range it is, but it's half and half. So one is 405, one's 3, one's 400, one's 300, one's 400, so on and so forth. So that's the only time you're getting UV. So in a way, it works because you are spinning a carousel around. But I figured there's not enough reflection going on. So in turn, you have to use the UV part of it, the cure part, several times to get all the angles of the print, because if I'm curing something like this, it's not going to get every single angle. It's not going to get the bottoms. It's not going to get the top. So it's only going to hit the sides of it. That's it. So, and it might not get into every crevice. So my thought process behind it is, hey, let's get some semi-reflective tape to bounce those rays off of and make this a huge UV box. And it does work. If I were to turn this on, it would be insanely bright if I were to take off just a little bit of the lid. Like, so bright, it's like looking at the sun. It is insane. So whether or not it works the way that it's intended, I don't know, but it seems to be, because all my prints are coming out very, very well. One of the main concerns was the bottom. So I could never get a print to cure on the bottom because, like I said, you're only hitting straight forward here. So that was one thing we wanted to try and avoid, is having to cure multiple times. I don't really have times to be messing around with this and that. I'm usually unloading one build plate, getting another ready, and so on and so forth. So so that's why I did this modification. Again, whether it actually works or not, that's to be seen, but at least in my head it seems to work. Again, I don't know entirely if it does, but hey, it's a good thought, at least. So that's one modification I did, and really pretty much the only modification besides add-ons. So some other things that I've done is I printed this little carousel that I found on Thingiverse, and I'll leave links to all the printed parts that I printed for this, that hold all the parts for the Anycubic wash and cure station. So we have our little plates, our base plate holder, and then the little black piece, which currently I have no idea where it is. Anyway, so with that also being said, going on to the build plate washing part. Okay, so obviously this is meant for the Anycubic Photon series because, well, it's Anycubic's wash and cure station. So why not build it around your printers? That's cool and all, but that kind of leaves it out for the rest of the people that have other printers, like myself. I have 10 different printers. I have different size printers, different types of printers. So for me, this is not utilized at all. I don't use this at all. I've never used it. I've never touched it besides showing it off right now. That's it. It just kind of sits around. So you can 3D print parts to use your different build plates. Like if you have a Creality, if you have a Nova, if you have a Hyea, if you have an Epax, whatever brand it may be, you can print it and have it on here. So as long as the files are out there, go ahead and print them up, and then you can utilize this and dip your build plate in there. That's perfectly fine. Again, for me, I usually just scrape the prints off of the build plate and just drop them right in the bucket here. So that's another thing we're going to go into is the bucket. The bucket holds quite a bit of liquid. It goes all the way up to 3,500 milliliters. I usually don't have it that tall. I usually don't go past like 2,200. 25 is usually my maximum. There's absolutely no need to have it above that because I'm not using the build plate holder. I'm not utilizing that. I usually just wash my prints. And the only time I have to go to, 2,500 is if I'm using my bigger printers. So, that's a good thing to know is you don't have to have it filled all the time because obviously, as you guys know, IPA is in shortage. So if you're using IPA, that's a lot of IPA to use. And then if you don't have a pre-wash station, well, guess what? You're just kind of destroying that entire bucket of IPA. It's a bad thing to do. But anyway, I digress on that. So here's another modification add-on, I guess you can call it more or less, that I printed off from Thingiverse. It is a little mesh basket. I want to say that took like 3 hours to print, and that was at like super slow settings. I'm sure you can print it a lot faster, whatever nozzle you have, but that's what I printed it at, just stock settings, stock printer, whatever it was. And it sits in the bottom of the basket, and this is printed in PLA, so obviously it's going to degrade over time, but I'm not really worried about it because I just put it on a printer, go to work, and by the time I get home I have a brand new one. So not the end of the world. I'm not going to be missing it. I have tons of PLA here. It's what I usually use, so I'm not that mad about it. I did zip tie it though because the tolerances on this are semi-okay, and then on top of it, probably my basket is a little bent from using heavier parts on it for washing from my bigger printers. But yeah, so I just put some 3 zip ties on it to hold it down, and it just stays in place. I will say if you guys are going to utilize this print, you will notice that your vortex effect is going to go down slightly. It's not going to be terrible. It's still going to do what it needs to do, but you will notice that there is a slight difference of it, picking up your parts and actually moving them around. But what it does is something great. So I print a lot of smaller parts, and that's what this is specifically designed to keep parts in there. So as you can see, I can easily fit this part through pretty much any piece of this wash and cure basket. Okay? And the problem I was having is they were dipping down on the bottom, and they were either going to hit the propeller that's in the bottom of the bucket, or it would break the print. Now, if you're someone who's using small parts, I don't think you really want broken parts. That would be really, really bad. And I know I would be very mad if that happened. So this prevents that. So as you can see, I cannot get that through there at all. Now, obviously, these holes are only so big, but since the way that they are designed, it has to be a very, very small part to go through there. So there are still a slight possibility But I mean, this is a pretty small part. It's thinner than the size of my pinky, um, my pinky thumbnail or nail. So I mean, that's a pretty small part. So for me, it works. So that's another thing that I do suggest having as a nice upgrade. One last thing I will say that makes this a wash and cure, and it also makes it a vat dripper. This print right here, it's really, really nice to have. You put it in place where the build plate is going. You would put your vat in here, and then put your resin right below it with your little filter cup, and there you go. You have a vat dripper. You don't have to print one out. You don't have to rig up anything. You just print this. I think that took about 3 hours too, and that does hold a lot of weight on it. As flimsy as it looks, and it feels like it's going to break, it definitely holds quite a bit. I have a 10-inch screen printer, which the FET film alone is probably as big as or as wide as this wash and cure base. So it's a pretty big vat. So to utilize that is also a nice add-on to do it. So don't think of it as just a wash and cure station. If you got a little bit of time and an FDM printer, you could probably even resin print it too. You can go ahead and make yourself a vat dripper as well. So another added bonus onto it. So that's always nice to have extra things. So those, at least 2 of those prints are really nice to have. You don't necessarily have to print the little holder piece for all your little tools. But if you want to keep it out, you can go ahead and do that. So, but all in all, this is a very, very nice setup. It's only about 8 inches wide, so it's 8 inches squared. Now, the setup that I used to use would take up this entire area here. I'd have a 12-inch cure box with a little spin table, and then my magnetic stir station that took up, probably as much as this. It was pretty much the same size. So, I know the argument that I'm going to see in the comments below is that, yeah, this is a great thing to have, but it's very expensive. I understand that completely. I understand money is a big, big thing in resin printing because resin is very expensive. It has come down quite a bit since I've started resin printing, but it's still up there in prices. I think it'll pretty much stay where it's at right now. I don't think you'll see bottles of resin go any lower than $15. And if you do find $15 resin, you probably won't want it anyway. So, with that being said, I know you can go out and you can buy a magnetic stirrer or a ultrasonic cleaner, a little turntable, and a UV light and a cardboard box, and you're probably at, let's say, $70 at the max. Let's say you're going premium on all this. $70 at the max. This thing is almost $100 more than that. Okay? So I understand where you're coming from with that. But for me personally, I like to have everything all in one, and I like to have a small space. I have a lot of big printers. I have a lot of space that I need to utilize a lot of stuff with, and condensing things down is my biggest thing that I have to deal with. Is I have X amount of room with Y amount of space, so I have to make sure that I'm getting the most usage out of the small real estate that I do have, if that makes any sense to you. So so that's why this makes sense for me. Again, this might not be for you, but I figured I'd throw it out there and let you guys know some of the perks of it. And you guys are probably asking yourself, okay, well, you're telling us all the perks about it. What's the downfalls of it? Really, as of right now, using it, there's no real downfalls other than that they don't sell extra parts for it, especially an extra bucket. That's a big downfall for me. But again, I can just probably buy something that's similar sized and use it for a pre-wash station and save my IPA or denatured alcohol is what I use currently. So, I mean, about the only true downside is this LED strip. I wish they had either more or, LED strips on the bottom here, something. More LEDs, more UV. That's about the only downfall this thing has. But again, all I did was maybe $5 modification to it, if that, and that's for a whole roll of tape. Like, this stuff, I can probably use this 30 times, 40 times over and still have stuff left over. I did that, and it made a world of difference when it came out to prints. I can use 2 minutes instead of 6 minutes. So that's the other upside to this as well is, it's got an on-off switch, plus it's got a timer on it. Not only for the wash, but also for the cure part as well. So you can choose 2, 4, or 6 minutes. So I had that set up on my my wash and cure station that I had before. It was just like a little button timer. It worked, but this one's kind of nice because, again, it's all in one place. I'm not going here and then having to touch that one. Okay, I'm going to put that on for 2 minutes. I'm going to put that on for 4 minutes. What have you. I'm not doing all that stuff. I'm doing one and done. So, and 90% of the time, this is what this is going to look like with the hood on it. I'm going to be washing most of the time, because what I usually do is I'll wash all my prints at one time and then I'll cure at another time. So, especially if I'm doing small parts like this, I'll do them in batches because these are useful parts. So, I usually try and make sure that they're cured properly and everything. So, yeah, I mean, it's a really, really nice unit. Again, I know price is a big thing. These do range anywhere between $160 to $210, depending on where you're getting it. And you can maybe even find deals for it somewhere else. I personally think that it's my best buy. I've had some really, really cool printers come through here and test them out and see how they're working and, some cool resins and everything. But this is by far my best bang for my buck for this year. Just because, like I said, it's a small, compact unit. It's an all-in-one unit, and it's just simple. All I had to do was a slight modification, and that's it. No problem. And I can use it for 3 different things: wash, cure, and a vat dripper. It's totally awesome. So, whether or not it's for you, I'll leave it up for you guys to decide. But I will say, if you can get them for the lowest price possible at $160, by all means, go ahead and pick one up because it's totally worth it. I really, really dig this station. Anytime I can, I will tell someone, hey, if you're getting into resin printing, get yourself about $500. Get yourself a starter printer, your choice, and then pick up one of these. You're done. End of story. $500, that'll get you going. It's right out of the gate. So it's really, really nice to have. If you guys got any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and post them down below. If you guys like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And, if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. We're going to have some more cool videos coming up here in the next couple weeks. I got quite a lot of videos that are just going to be one right after another. So it's going to be kind of a crazy show for the next month or so. And, subscribing to the channel would definitely help. I'm right around like 800 some odd subscribers, so it'd be cool to reach 1,000 subscribers. That would be really, really awesome, because then we could start getting some money to do some more stuff like this, and I don't really have to, foot the major of the bill. It'd be kind of cool to do that, but hey, I'm fine footing the bill for the time being. It'd just be kind of cool to say, hey, I'm an official YouTuber. But anyway, I'll leave that for next time. Until next time, you guys Stay cool. Happy printing. Happy washing and curing.